If you have been keeping an eye on the sites featured on awards lately, you might have come across this one that was awarded Site of the Day just a few days ago on January 20th. As soon as you land on the homepage, you are greeted with a really interesting scroll interaction in the hero section. The layout is built around this flight window-like frame with the sky visible inside it, and as you begin to scroll, the entire experience slowly zooms forward. The window, the text, and the scene itself, creating this immersive feeling of moving closer into the view. As you keep scrolling, the sky continues to reveal itself until eventually the background starts moving past the frame, transitioning you into the rest of the page content. It's a simple idea, but the execution is very thoughtful, and it felt like a fun concept to try and recreate. So last weekend, I spent a couple of hours putting together a small scroll-based experiment inspired by that idea using GSAP and Scroll Trigger. What I really like about projects like this is how much you can achieve just by combining a few core scroll trigger fundamentals without doing anything overly complex. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire build step by step, breaking down each part of the animation using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript powered by GSAP and Scroll Trigger. If you'd like to access the source code for this project, along with hundreds of other similar micro projects and a brand new website template every month, you can check out the Pro membership via the link in the description. And if you find my work helpful, I would really appreciate it if you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright, let's jump into the code. Let's start with the HTML structure. First, I'll create two sections, one for the hero and one for the outro. Inside the outro section, I'll add a simple h1 with some placeholder copy. This section isn't doing anything visually fancy, it's mainly there to give us enough scroll space so the pinned animation in the hero section has a clear endpoint. Now let's focus on the hero section. The first thing I'll add inside the hero is a div with the class name sky container. This element is going to hold the sky background that moves behind the window as we scroll. Inside this container, I'll place a single image, the sky image itself. Later on, we'll animate this container vertically to create that slow, drifting background effect. Next, I'll add another div with the class name hero copy. This will hold a single h1 with some placeholder text. This is the long form copy that slides into view toward the end of the scroll once the main window animation has already played. After that, I'll add a div with the class name window container. Inside this container, I'll place the window PNG image. This is the visual frame that stays centered on the screen and scales up as the user scrolls, acting as the main anchor for the entire experience. Next, I'll add a div with the class name hero header. This container is going to hold all the foreground text that sits on top of the window. To structure this content cleanly, I'll add two child divs with the class name column. Using two columns here makes it much easier to lay everything out later using Flexbox. Inside the first column, I'll place an h1 along with a paragraph element, both filled with some placeholder copy. This will sit on the left side of the layout. Then inside the second column, I'll do something similar. I'll add a paragraph element at the top, followed by another h1 with some more placeholder content. This column will eventually be aligned to the right, creating that mirrored editorial layout in the hero. And that's pretty much it for the HTML. We are not doing anything complex here. The structure is intentionally simple and layered, so we can control everything later using positioning, transforms, and scroll-based animation. Now that the markup is in place, let's move on to the styling. First, I'll bring in the main typeface using Google Fonts. For this project, I'm using instrument serif. Next, I'll define a couple of CSS variables at the root level, one for a light background tone and one for a dark foreground color. Using variables here keeps the color system simple and makes it easy to adjust things later if needed. Then I'll reset the default browser styles. I'll remove all margins and paddings and set box sizing to border box across the board. Now I'll style the body. I'll apply the serif font globally, set the light background color, and define the default text color. This establishes the overall visual mood of the page right away. Next, I'll take care of images. I'll make sure all images fill their containers completely and scale proportionally. This way, when we animate or resize elements later, the images always stay clean and properly cropped. After that, I'll define some base typography styles. For headings, I'll use a large, responsive font size with a tight line height. This gives the text a strong, compact presence without feeling heavy. For the paragraph text, I'll keep things more restrained, slightly smaller with tighter spacing so it complements the headlines. Now let's style the section elements. Each section will take up the full viewport height and use relative positioning. I will also hide overflow here, which is important because many of our animated elements will move and scale beyond their original bounds. Next, I'll focus on the hero section specifically. I'll add a perspective value to the hero container. This will allow us to introduce depth later when we start moving elements along the z-axis during the scroll animation. I'll also switch the text color to light here, so everything contrasts nicely against the darker sky background. After that, I'll style the outro section. I'll add some padding and center the content both horizontally and vertically using Flexbox. This keeps the outro simple and clean. It's just there to close the experience visually. Now I'll set up the main layout elements inside the hero. The sky container, the hero copy, the window container, and the hero header will all be absolutely positioned and stretched to the full width of this section. I will also hint to the browser that these elements will be transformed frequently, which helps keep the animation smooth. Next, I'll style the sky container itself. I'll make it much taller than the viewport. This extra height gives us enough vertical space to create that slow, drifting background movement as the user scrolls. Then I'll move on to the hero copy. I'll give it full viewport height and center the text both vertically and horizontally. Inside it, I'll slightly constrain the width of the headings so the text feels more readable and balanced. After that, I'll style the window container. This one also fills the viewport height and acts as the main visual frame for the animation. Later on, we'll scale this entire container during scroll to create that zoom in effect. Next comes the hero header. I'll make it fill the viewport, add some internal spacing, and use Flexbox to lay out the content horizontally. I will also enable 3-dimensional transform behavior here, since this layer will move in depth along with the window. Inside the hero header, I'll style each column. Each column takes up equal space, stacks its content vertically, and distributes items evenly from top to bottom. This gives us a clean, editorial layout that's easy to align and animate. For the paragraph text inside the columns, I'll limit the width slightly. Then for the second column, I will align everything to the right and adjust the text alignment accordingly. This creates a mirrored layout that balances the composition nicely across the window frame. Finally, I will add a simple responsive adjustment. On smaller screens, I'll scale down the heading and paragraph text so everything stays legible and well proportioned without changing the overall structure. And that wraps up the styling. Now that the layout and visual foundation are in place, we are ready to move into the JavaScript and start wiring up the scroll animation logic. First, I'll start by importing the libraries we need. I'll import GSAP as the core animation engine. Then I'll bring in the scroll trigger plugin. This is what allows us to tie animation states directly to scroll position. And finally, I'll import Lennis, which we'll use to add smooth scrolling to the page. Once everything is imported, I'll register scroll trigger with GSAP. This step is important. It lets GSAP know that we plan to use scroll trigger inside our animations. Next, I'll wait for the DOM to be fully loaded. I'll wrap everything inside a DOM content loaded listener so we are sure all elements exist before we start querying or animating anything. This avoids timing issues and keeps the setup predictable. Now, inside this callback, I'll set up Lennis. I'm going to paste a small block of code directly from the Lennis documentation exactly as recommended. What this does is, it initializes smooth scrolling, then keeps Lennis and scroll trigger in sync. With that out of the way, we can start grabbing the elements we want to animate. I'll query the window container first. This is the visual frame that will scale up as we scroll. Next, I'll grab the sky container. This element will move vertically behind the window to create that slowly drifting background effect. Then I'll grab the hero copy, the large block of text that appears later in the scroll. And finally, I'll grab the hero header, which contains the foreground text that scales and moves in depth along with the window. Once we have all the elements, I'll calculate a few values that we'll need for the animation. First, I'll measure the total height of the sky container. Then I'll grab the current viewport height. Using these two values, I'll calculate how far the sky needs to move vertically. By subtracting the viewport height from the sky height, we get the exact distance the sky should travel during the scroll. This way, when the scroll reaches the end, the sky lines up perfectly instead of overshooting or stopping early. Before we animate anything, I'll also set an initial state. I'll push the hero copy completely out of view by moving it downward using a %base transform. This keeps the text hidden at the start so we can smoothly bring it into view later as part of the scroll sequence. Alright, with all this setup in place, we are ready to define the scroll trigger itself and start mapping scroll progress to animation values. Let's move on to that next. First, I'll create a new scroll trigger instance. I'll set the trigger to the hero section. this tells scroll trigger, watch this section and use it as the scroll reference for everything we are about to animate. Next, I'll define the start point. I'll start the trigger when the top of the hero hits the top of the viewport. Then I'll define the end point. Instead of ending when the hero naturally scrolls away, I'll extend the scroll distance manually. This gives us extra scroll time to play the sequence slowly because the whole effect depends on feeling gradual and immersive, not rushed. After that, I'll pin the hero section. Pinning is what creates that frozen frame effect. The page keeps scrolling, but the hero stays locked in place, which makes it feel like we are moving through the scene rather than scrolling past it. I'll also keep pin spacing enabled. This makes sure the rest of the page content gets pushed down correctly, so when the pin section finishes, the next section continues naturally. Then I'll enable scrub. Scrub is what ties the animation directly to scroll position, so instead of playing on a timeline, the animation becomes a live state that updates smoothly as user scrolls up and down. Now, instead of building a GSAP timeline, I'll drive everything inside the onUpdate callback. This function runs continuously while the scroll trigger is active and it gives us the current scroll progress. So inside onUpdate callback, the first thing I'll do is grab the progress. It gives us a normalized value between 0 and 1. 0 means we are at the beginning of the pinned scroll range and 1 means we are at the end. And from this single progress value, we'll calculate everything: scale, depth, background movement, and the final copy reveal. Next, I'll calculate the window scale. I'll create a variable called window scale and I'll scale the window up during the first half of the scroll. So if progress is in the first half, I'll map it from a base scale to a much larger scale. This creates that strong zoom in effect early on, which is the main hook of the interaction. Then, once we cross the halfway point, I'll stop increasing the scale and hold it steady. Once I've computed the scale, I'll apply it to the window container. This scales the window frame itself, so the viewer feels like they are moving closer into the view. Then I'll apply the same effect to the hero header as well. This keeps the foreground text locked to the window, so it feels like part of the same physical layer, not a separate overlay. And while I'm animating the hero header, I'll also push it forward in Z space based on progress. This is why we added perspective in CSS earlier. That little Z movement adds depth, so as we scroll, the header feels like it's coming toward us slightly instead of just scaling flat on screen. Next, I'll animate the sky container. Here, I'll set its Y position based on scroll progress using the move distance we calculated earlier. As progress increases, I move the sky upward gradually. This gives us that slow drifting effect behind the window, like the viewer is gliding through the scene while the frame stays fixed. And because we are multiplying progress by the exact travel distance, the sky movement stays perfectly proportional from start to finish. Finally, I'll control the hero copy reveal. I'll calculate another value called hero copy Y. This represents the vertical position of the copy as a percentage transform. For most of the scroll, I'll keep the copy pushed down and hidden. This ensures the early part of the animation stays clean. We focus on the window zoom and the sky movement first. Then, once we pass a certain point near the end, I'll start interpolating that value so the copy slides upward into view. And by the time we reach the very end of the scroll range, the copy reaches its final resting position, fully visible and centered. This creates a nice pacing curve. First, we get the immersive zoom, then we get the drifting background, and finally, we get this last layer of text that resolves the scene and closes the movement. Once the value is calculated, I apply it using GSAP's set method, so the hero copy updates instantly based on scroll progress. And that completes the scroll trigger logic. At this point, everything in the hero is being driven by one scroll progress value, and that's really the main idea behind this project. Hope you found the video helpful. See you in the next one.